So today I'm talking with Gabriel Esparza Romero, who is a Principal Group Software Engineering Manager with Microsoft Azure. Hey, Gabriel.
Hey, Leslie. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So, Gabriel, let's start by just defining Azure Cost Management. What is it? Why does it matter? And what are some of the different use cases that developers should use it for?
You bet. Azure Cost Management is a service, and we have quite a few features to enable customers to get visibility on their costs. So we have several analysis features. You can also drive accountability within your organization, for instance, by setting budgets and alerts so that you know when you've exceeded your budget. And also to drive optimization in your cost. For instance, we give you recommendations on how you can reduce your cost. For instance, use a lower end SKU or turn off some resources that you might not be using. Azure Cost Management has several features. For instance, we have functionality within the portal. We have also a Power BI app that has some built-in visualizations. We have a Power BI connector that gives you data and you can build your own visualizations on top of that. And we also have a series of APIs that allow you to get access to the data that powers the dashboard and the functionality within the portal.
That's really cool, and that's really important, I feel. I mean, Azure has so many different components that I'm sure lots of teams are using different pieces of. So yeah, it makes sense to have a tool that actually manages all the costs for each of the different tools that you should be using in Azure. So on the API front, what are the key APIs that people should be using the most?
We have a ton of APIs, and I'm sure my team is going to be super disappointed that I'm not going to talk about all of them. But if you can remember two, this would be usage details and query. Let me tell you a little bit more about them. Usage details allows you access to raw data aggregated by day to all of your expenses and costs that you've incurred within Azure. So this is useful when you're building your own solutions and you need access to really all of the data. Query is a super powerful API. Is built on top of the same data as usage details, but allows aggregations and filtering on top of this data. So this is useful when you know the exact view that you need on the data, so you can just request that instead of transferring all of the data to your system, only to do an aggregation on top of it.
Cool. Makes sense. I'm sure there's a lot of data that gets involved with this sort of thing. So we have the cost management portal, and we also have the APIs. So when should people use one or the other?
So if you're doing analysis on your cost, the portal as well as the Power BI app provide a ton of functionality within there. You can also set budgets, alerts on them. There's quite a bit of stuff that you can go and dig into to really understand your cost, analyze it, slice it and dice it by different means so that you can really understand your cost. Now, we also see that some of our customers, especially large enterprises, have their own processes, their own businesses, their own systems that they need to incorporate into. So for this, the APIs are quite powerful. You can ingest data into your own systems. You can build your own custom solutions. If you have a need to do a custom solution, but is not huge, then the Power BI connector is a great way to do this, where you can build visualizations on top of this data. You don't need to worry about how to acquire the data. The connector does that for you.
All right, that's cool. It sounds like there's a lot of flexibility between what customers can use. And you even talked about the raw data versus having the query type data. So yeah, something for everybody. So some of my favorite kinds of features are the ones that come about due to customer feedback. So have there been any features under the Azure Cost Management umbrella that were the result of customer feedback?
You bet. It's great having really passionate customers, and we're always getting requests. Some of the latest ones that we've added are on the exports feature. So exports it's a way to schedule usage detail reports where we end up putting the data into your storage account. So we made several improvements requested by customers so that you can fine tune exactly when you get the report. Before, it wasn't, so we didn't have enough dials in that space. Another one is that for some customers, the reports were getting humongous. And so customers sometimes were having trouble ingesting these reports into their own systems. So now we support partitioning into multiple ones. So you can ingest piece by piece, and you can build more reliable systems on top of this. Another one that had been requested by a lot of customers is being able to get alerts on budgets when the forecast indicates that you're going to hit that budget. Before, we only supported alerts when the actual cost had hit against the budget. So now we also support this on forecast.
That is great, and it's really cool to see that your team is listening to your customers. So what's the future look like for Azure Cost Management?
Good question. So we're seeing that the amount of data that we need to process is always growing. So we need to enable customers to deal with more scale. So that's an area that we're investing in quite a bit. Also, in order to enable customers to really analyze their cost, we're driving several perf improvements in the portal. We have a public preview going on also on functionality within the portal that has quite a few features. Customers can use this now if they hit on the preview button in the portal. And a feature that also the customers have been requesting quite a bit is being able to schedule emails that give them reports that they specify. So we will have this in public preview later this year.
That is so exciting. And I love previews personally. I think it's just a great playground for sharing your feedback so that your team can make Azure Cost Management even better and cater to everybody. So where can people go to learn more about Azure Cost Management?
We just put a link in the chat window that has takes you to the documentation to several of the APIs as well as functionality within the portal. So I'd really recommend that people check that out.
Awesome. So Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to check out Azure Cost Management.